And we're live. Nice. Welcome. Today we will just have a quick read through of the 30 or so pages from Tales of the Yawning Portal, released in 2017. One of which adventures that are in this collection is the Shrine of Tamoachan from 1968. It's a first edition adventure, and it's very apparently focused on puzzles and stuff. So we'll just have a quick read through, and in the end we'll kind of have a quick discussion about it. Maybe not. We'll see that. I've got some background music. The link to it is found in the video description of the chat and stuff. So if you want to hear to it, go give him a listen. We'll start by saying it was rated 2004, the I think 18th best adventure of D&D at that time. Since then a few things have come out. How do I get to this point? Generally speaking, I have a deep interest in Chult, and since this adventure, although not taking place in Chult originally, fits very well into the setting, to the point that's even addressed in the 2017 adventure. So we'll just have a read through and see how absolutely dangerous and deadly the Hidden Shrine of Tamoachan can be. That said, we'll throw quickly in this dungeon. It's massive, to the point that there is no way anyone makes a one-to-one replica or so on a playing board. You have to piece this up as a DM, which is good if you go around with like second tier. You maybe just need to cut it like 2 times in the middle. The first tier is so big. There is so much space, which is very traditional actually for the old adventures. They have these massive dungeons, of which you have no idea how you even are supposed to draw them out. So that's something. If anything, I can absolutely recommend trying to recreate or somehow make this in some online dice, in some online tool, or I don't know, worst case, just purchase the thing in Roll20 and you'll be good to go with the maps, the lighting, everything. As I said, I'm not doing that. I'm just having a read through the online version here in AnyFlip, which is very generous with giving access to information and access to the books. Doesn't mean I don't have them both, of course, but still, it's easier to do it this way. Also, Beyond isn't really my favorite page to use, arguably. So we'll just throw in with this and go directly into reading the Hidden Shrine of Tamoachan. I will make it a bigger so that it's easier for the viewers to read as well. If you want to read with me, Otherwise I will just go ahead and read through the 30 pages and give my commentary and clarifications with bringing the map along from time to time, since, well, we already established the dungeon is quite a mess to look around. So yeah, there we go. The ancient ruined city of Tamoachan is familiar to a select few scholars and fortune seekers, who know of it, but not know exactly where it is. Even more secluded, lying somewhere within or beneath the ruins, is a hidden shrine said to be dedicated to Zilaha, and the vampire god of the underworld. Adventurers who catch wind of the place are likely to find its lore irresistible. If the characters find their way into the environs of the ruined city, their next order of business might be to set up camp nearby. After a few hours of searching, they can find an easily defended glade with an artisan spring. Most of the city is toppled and almost completely covered in undergrowth. Intruders who enter the ruins will discover that the ancient streets now serve as overgrown valleys between the debris of the crumbled buildings. The largest of these valleys all lead to the central clearing where the Great Pyramid stands. In the south side of the clearing is a newly collapsed area, revealing a jagged hole with a debris-covered slide, leading down into darkness. Running the adventure. The adventure, which is designed for a group of 4 or 5 5th level player characters, gets underway on the morning after the characters arrive in the vicinity of the ruins and make camp. When all of them have risen and finished preparing for the day's travel, read the following. As you head towards the Pyramid Temple, you tread across cracked and overgrown flagstones, stepping over fallen and shattered pillars, pushing aside vines and briars. When you are nearly at the temple, the sound of creatures crashing through the underbrush comes from behind you. You turn around to see people moving through the woods towards the clearing around the pyramid. Then you suddenly the earth shudders and gapes open beneath your feet. You are falling amidst a roar of collapsing masonry. Dust fills the air, and the sunlight disappears as the darkness swallows you. The party finds themselves in Area 1, which is where the play begins. Intermission from the reader. The game does absolutely not tell me anything about the city. It doesn't tell me how the city looks. It doesn't tell me anything. For the DMs that are planning on running this and actually listen to it, to my advice, I would highly suggest reading through the capital city of the Aztec Empire to get a better idea, although it was floating on the lake, but I think it would make a lot better story to actually have the city there as well. The ruins of the shrine. The map shows the layout of the shrine, and later sections of this adventure describe what can be found there. We already had a quick glimpse at the map, and I already gave my thoughts to it, so we'll just skip over explaining the entire map. We'll do that together with the description. The ruins. General features. The walls inside the ruins are constructed of blocks of unmortared stone covered by stucco. The ceiling are of the same material, supported by corbel arches. Ceilings. Most of the hallways have 20-foot ceilings. Some rooms have ceilings of 20 to 40 foot in height. Doors. Doors are made of beaten bronze or slabs of stone. While heavy, they can be opened without a check. Unsafe stonework. In some places, the corbel arches that hold up the ceiling aren't structurally sound. As a result, some spells might have disastrous effects. A spell like Fireball, an explosion, or Thunder Wave, an area of thunder damage, have a 25% chance to cause a ceiling collapse within the spell's area, dealing 16 or 3d10 bludgeoning damage to creatures in the area. This collapse might block or bury objects or exits. Poison gas. The lower levels of the ruins, including the rooms and passages of encounter areas 1 to 38, are filled with poisonous gas. The gas is an amber color and its area is slightly obscured. Anyone can tell that the gas is irritating, but it takes a successful DC 15 intelligence or nature check to discern the gas's toxicity. Flames in the gas sputter and glow redly, and any attempt to use natural means to ignite the fire has only a 50% chance of success. Fire used as a light source has an effective radius only half as normal. A creature takes 3 or 1d6 poison damage every hour it spends in the gas. The gas is light, so it accumulates closer to the ceiling. Inhabitants of the dungeon have immunity to the poisonous effects of the gas. Placing the adventure. In the original adventure, set in the world of Greyhawk, the Hidden Shrine is part of an ancient city named Tamoachan. Once the northernmost capital of the Olmuan Empire. The civilization of the Olmuan people covered much of the southern continent centuries before current history began. Tamoachan is located in the Savage Lands south of the Olmuan Islands and southeast of the Holes of the Sea Princess. What the fuck? The climate is subtropical and very damp. It rains nearly every afternoon. In other worlds, similar possibilities can be found. Dragonlands. The Hidden Shrine might not be part of an ancient city of Kryn, but instead be an isolated temple for a weird dead cult devoted to the god Chemosh. The site could date back to the Age of Dreams, and might be on an isle or an isolated region near the Blood Sea of Istar. Eberron. On Eberron, the site might be an ancient seat of an elven cult, possibly connected to the line of Vol. Alternatively, Tamoachan could be a truly primeval location in Kebara, and the Alman gods actually fiends from the Age of Demons. Forgotten Realms. The most important to pretty much most of the DMs, since the Forgotten Realms are what is being focused on currently with the development of D&D adventures. Forgotten Realms. Because the people of Masitaka closely resemble the Olman, the shrine is a likely place for the ruined city and the shrine, the region. Tamoachan might instead be a lost city in the jungles of Chult. And this is where I would personally place it, since it works quite well with the history of them and the Tabaxi. Alright. We continue with the poisonous gas, apparently. The gas rises up and out of the ruins if the doors to Area 39 are opened. It takes 1 month or lower for the lower levels to clear completely. If the doors are closed again, the lower chambers refill with gas in 2 weeks. Something else about the location. Dried potions. In some locations, characters discover the remains of a potion in form of sediment in the bottom of a container. It is possible to mix this powder with water or wine to restore the potion. Wine creates a potion with full effect, but water shortens the potion's duration if it has one by half. If the powder is consumed by itself, there is a 1 in 8 chance that it acts as a potion of poison, otherwise the powder has no effect. Something that I as DM would do in Schuld is I would also give an option for Tesh to be thrown in there and kind of have it be on the same level as the wine. Tesh is a honey wine and a traditional Chilton beverage. Pressure plates. Several areas have traps and that are triggered by the operation of a pressure plate, which depresses with a certain amount of weight is put on it. A character who succeeds a DC 20 perception, so wisdom, check can find a pressure plate. The plate can be blocked, preventing the trap from triggering by wedging it in the upper position with pythons or similarly strong chimes. Doing so takes one character at least 5 minutes, and the characters must make a DC 15 dexterity check using thief tools. If the check fails by 4 or less, the character knows the chimes aren't properly placed. If the check fails by 5 or more, the character doesn't realize the failure of the chimes. Random encounters. Each hour the party is in the ruins after then taking the obligatory poison damage. Roll 1d12. On the roll of 1, an encounter occurs. Then roll 1d10 to see the following table to determine which monster should show up. 1. 1d3 swarms of rats, deceased as giant rats. 2. 1d3 swarms of bats. 3. 2d4 giant fire beetles. 4. 1d6 zombies. 5. 1 will-o-wisp. 6. 2d4 baboons. 7. 1 swarm of poisonous snakes. 8. 1d4 giant frogs. 9. 1d2 panthers. Or 10. 1d3 giant wolf spiders. Commentary from the DM. What is the will-o-wisp gonna do? Is it gonna lead him into a trap? Like, the will-o-wisp is weak as hell. There's nothing the will-o-wisp can actually do. But sure, I guess. These wanderers are extra and aren't from any of the areas in the ruins. If an indicated monster doesn't fit in the situation, check again or choose a different result. Okay, DMs, just take whatever you want, I guess. We'll just throw quickly in original so that I am correct. The Hidden Shrine of Tamoachan by Harold Johnson and Jeff R. Leeson was originally published in 1980, not 1968 as I said previously. I apologize for that, as an adventure for the first edition of the D&D game. The design of the temple draws heavily on the Mayan and Aztec or Toltec mythology and society. In the original publication, Dungeon Masters were encouraged to research these real-world background elements to add depth and realism to the character's experience. I already said that. This is something that I would always recommend. Check your source material. Makes the world much more engaging and lively. Locations in the lower chambers. 1. We found ourselves down here to the left in 1. The world of... oh god, these names are... the world of Chico Moss Tok, the place of 7 caves. The poisonous gas is present here, affecting fire and breathing. Relate the following information to the characters and gradually as they examine their surroundings, those being the breathing part and the fire part. You're in a long, narrow chamber, running east to west. In the center of this apartment is a domed shape on the floor. In the east wall is a blank-faced stone door. The west end of the room is blocked by fallen stone and rubble, apparently the result of a collapse. The 2 side walls appear to have several niches cut into them. The shape in the center of the chamber appears to be a small alcove, protected by a half-dome, with the open end facing towards the door in the east wall. This alcove is set in a recessed shallow and tilted well, 1 foot deep and 10 foot wide. And the alcove itself is 4 feet high. The recess contains some sort of display. The display appears to be a diorama depicting a hunting party of Elmon warriors in feathers and deer-hide garments in a mountainside scene. Some have pulled down a stag with the aid of a dog. Another group is clearing a small mud deer, mule deer, and others have cornered a panther with their spears. A scout watches the panther from an outcropping above. He holds a metal staff with a loop in its end. It looks like a shepherd's crook. The 3 niches on both the northern and southern walls are 5 feet wide and about 3 feet off the floor. Each niche contains a diorama depicting some aspect of a tribal life. The 6-inch tall figurines in all of the displays appear to be made of stucco, realistically and brightly painted. The scenes portrayed represent fishing, farming, religion, warfare, the creation story, and crafting. A cave completely blocks the west end of the chamber. At short intervals, small amounts of rubble and dirt come spilling into the room. Several large stones appear to have wedged themselves tightly, closing the collapse. The info. The figures of people and animals in all the dioramas are loose and can be picked up and manipulated. If any of the people and some of the animals are removed from a display and placed on the floor of this vault, the item grows to full size dimensions immediately, and spirits of the ancestors animate the creature and it attacks. And these beings are constructs, but otherwise function according to the statistics of a certain kind of creature as noted below. And the diorama holds tribal warriors, a scout, a mastiff, so a dog, and a panther. The deer doesn't animate. Then the reading goes through all the niches. Niche A. It would be useful here to pick up the book again. And to the very left, here, we have niche A. Niche A itself is the most left, then we continue on into the one behind, and then the one behind in front of the door. And then we go the same way from the right side, D to F. Niche A. In the river scene, a dozen commoners gather rushes, fish with nets, and a carve dugout. Niche B, the one behind. 12 commoners are engaged in farming, planting mycete and harvesting wheat. 5 tribal warriors stand guard and a priest, or cult fanatic in this case, in a bird costume is blessing the fields. The display, Niche C. The display portrays a temple upon a turret pyramid. 7 commoners are bringing small offerings of gold and jade. Before the temple stands a priest, in this case cult fanatic stat block again, handling a constrictor snake. Around him stand 3 costumed tribal warriors. One dressed as a winged serpent, who holds a spear, another dressed as bear with razor claws, and the third represents a coyote holding a torch. There are also several stone statues of the gods. The bits of gold and jade are worth 5 gold pieces each, and there are 15 of such items. Niche D. A scene of tribal warfare involves 20 tribal warriors in combat. The 10 warriors on one side are painted black, and the 10 on the other are done in red. Warriors that are animated will find animated enemy warriors first, but once they vanish their foes, they will turn on the characters. Niche E. In the display that depicts the creation of the world, all the statuettes are stylized and obviously non-human. These figures can be removed, but they do not animate. A god adorned in green quetzal feathers is mixing ashes with blood in form sculptures of a man and woman, while 4 towering figurines painted red, black, blue and white are standing about a fire committing suicide with the daggers. 2 smaller figurines are ringed by the 4. The modest pimple one is being consumed by the fire, while the beguiled Lord of Snails cowers in fear. That's an interesting piece of lore right there, I guess. Niche F. In a scene that shows various forms of crafting, 12 commoners are busy weaving rugs and baskets, carving totems, making pots, grinding stones for weapons, and making clothes. Treasure. The staff held by the scout figurine in the central diorama is actually a key, and may be separated from the creature without affecting it. The key, worth 2 gold pieces, is used to open the door to this room. Also, it's a puzzle. Okay. A cave-in. Attempting to dig upward towards the rumble in the west end of the room results only in more detritus falling into the area. Any further collapse deals 2 or 1d4 bludgeoning damage to each trigger. Each trigger must also succeed on a DC 13 dexterity save, or be buried by the rubble and take another 7 or 3d4 bludgeoning damage. If the saving throw fails by 5 or more, the rubble engulfs the digger completely, and the trapped creature cannot breathe until dug out. Struggling out on one's own requires a successful DC 15 strength or athletics check, and doing so takes a minute. The door. When the characters investigate the door that offers an exit from this chamber, read the following. The door is carved with a sun symbol and appears to be open into the room. There are hinges on this side and scratches on the floor. There is no visible lock or handle on it, although a slight gap stretches across the top of the door. 8 holes seem to have been bored into the door. There are about each in a diameter, but nothing can be seen in them. The door seems to be fairly thick, the intel is arched and with a keystone at the top. The door can be the empire again. The door can be opened in a number of ways. The key found in the diorama about the hunting can be used to spring the door open when it's turned in the keyhole hidden under the keystone over the door. The keyhole can be found with a successful DC 20 wisdom or perception check. And pythons or similar tools can be driven into the door to provide handles. And driving pythons into the door takes a minute and requires a successful DC 10 strength check. With such a grip, the door can be opened with some force, but no check would be needed for that. Objects inserted into the holes that are already bored won't stay in the door. The 2 hinge pins can be broken, each has an AC 12 and 28 points, and removed, but the door falls inward. Someone who holds the door and succeed on a DC 15 athletics, so strength check, can keep the door up and lower it to the floor. Otherwise the door falls and those within 5 feet of it must succeed on a DC 15 dexterity save or to avoid the falling door. On a fail save, a creature takes a 7 or 2d6 bludgeoning damage. So, with this we have the first part done. The first room, which arguably is something. Essentially, looking at it, you have a door, you have a gate in front of you, and you are kind of trapped in there. The player's way is goal is to get out. At 5th level, the player might know knock. Personally, I wouldn't see a reason why they would pick the spell for an expedition into the jungle unless they know they are going into a dungeon. Cause or like in the city maybe they can swap it, but still, this puzzle, I see the intended way, I see what they want to do. My problem with it is that anything they animate except the key will attack them. Any other way of trying to get out is done with the players taking damage. I don't think this is a super good way to start off the adventure. That said, it's nice that there are other options like them breaking off the hinges or something, which I would argue most of the players, at least on my table, would do instead of actually going for the weird stuff. It's especially since the keyhole is hidden with a DC 20 check for the level 5 player. It's like, this is not off to a super good start. This seems to be really challenging. It's a puzzle. I don't mind it being a puzzle, and I like what they are doing with it, but I think that it might be too frustrating for players. Like, I can see, for example, a party of regular players that play once a week or so struggling with this for well over half an hour. Well, I think they should probably be done with it within 10 minutes. Maybe it takes even an hour. to go through the first of what? 40, 50 places. So we'll have a look at the next one, see if the next one gets better. The Hall of Threshing Canes. The stone wall of this corridor is carved to resemble a stack of bamboo-like logs. The passage slopes down from a single door on its western leg, the intel of which has been crafted to represent a stylized cavern entrance. It leads to double doors of beaten bronze, worked to resemble a forest of seaweed. Pressure plate for the DM. Of course, there is a pressure plate halfway down the hallway that triggers a trap when weight equivalent of that of 3 to 4 humanoids is on it. See the rune's general features at the beginning of the adventure for details. Yeah, we got that already. If the trap triggers, several of the logs swing from either wall and buffet the party, or like slam into the players. Those in the plate's area when the trap triggers take 7 bludgeoning damage, or 2d6, and are pushed 5 feet down the slope towards the double doors. Once they swing out, the stone logs don't swing back, and thus effectively block the passage, since they bar the way from ceiling to floor with only a 6-inch gap remaining between the logs. We'll have a look at the trap. Number 2. I would argue that 6 inches might be maybe a tad bit too not enough. I mean, it's a feet, it's a foot, so you can kind of squeeze through. No, it's not. You can kind of try to squeeze through, but it's very unlikely to work. So if there are like 4 players or so, that's fine. But if they, okay, let's say it this way. The players are done with a puzzle which kinda okay, they got through the door somehow. Next in line there is this hallway. The players, what I think the game thinks that the players will do is that they will walk one by one and that the trap won't activate. But if they walk together, they get slammed. Not for much damage, but they get slammed. Thus being said, this trap is fine. It's fine. It's there is a pressure plate and that they can spot. There is a pressure plate that they can jam. There is stuff that they can avoid. They can avoid it if they do the good check for it. But it's fine. It's not horrible. It's doable for the party. Also at 5th level you have, let's say you have like 58 points or so. Okay, you took maybe 4 damage or so on the beginning part when doing that, and maybe another 5 when fighting some panther or something. There's another point about the part 1 that I have now. I do not think the players will get the idea of taking the stucco figurines out. Anyway, part 2, it's doable. It's not. Let's put it this way. It's better than part 1. Next, the next big hall. Roost of the Conch. The room is constructed of large stone blocks, but dressed in corners. The walls are wet and slimy, and mud covers most of the floor in a thin coating. And to the east and west may be seen stone doors recessed in the wall, and to the north a set of stairs leads down. In the center of the chamber sits a large polished boulder amidst a pile of smaller rounded rocks. The boulder is 5 feet tall and colored brown with dark streaks and spots. Leaning against it is what appears to be a bamboo staff. In the mud around the base of the boulder is a moving shape looking like a crayfish. It is facing you. It seems to be aware of your presence. The import. Slippery mud. The floor of the chamber is very slippery, accounting as difficult terrain. Any sudden actions, including those necessary for combat, may result in... gotta go up. Or not. May result in characters taking a spill. A character who uses the dash action or tries to fight within the room must succeed on a DC 10 dexterity save or fall prone. The saving throw should be made before attacks are made. Creatures encountered here are unaffected by the mud. Guardian. The creature at the base of the boulder is a giant crayfish. If it's approached, it will advance waving its claws in an aggressive manner and speak. If any member of the party can understand Olmon, an ancient language, the crayfish will be heard to say the following.
Who is this? Who dares to enter the chamber of the Guardian? You had better go, or I will have to discharge my sacred duty. Be off with you before I lose my temper.
If the party retreats, the crayfish will not follow, but will take to marching back and forth in front of the boulder, and will continue to threaten the party if they approach again. If the crayfish is attacked, it will immediately call forth its companion, creature. The boulder is in reality a huge shell inhabited by a calcula, a giant hermit crab. The bamboo staff is one of its legs. A successful DC 15 nature check or intelligence enables a character to discern this fact and get a hint to the nature before the crab moves to its nature. When the characters enter the room, its name, a calcula, is asleep and will not awaken unless the crayfish is attacked. Once it's awake, it may attack or bargain. It speaks Alman. The crab can be reasoned with if the party doesn't attack it and can come to terms with it. The crab denies any knowledge of this place, stating that it was brought into these warrens when it was very young. If asked for directions, it first sends the party into a rubble-filled staircase to the east, and then, if asked for a second time, it sends the party west. Okay, we'll quickly have a look at it. First east, and then west. Okay, we have the big egg, or like the big shell from the hermit crab. First it sends the characters up and then down. This is mud-filled crayfish. I think they are similar to Welsh? I'm not entirely sure. So we continue with the 4. and then hop over to 5, 6, 7 and then go downstairs. I think it makes the most sense. What is on the other side of the room? There is the mud-filled doorway. Southern approach. If the characters come from the south, which is from where they are going originally, you should read the following. The landing at the foot of a short flight of steps is filled with mud and slits that partially block the door leading north. The door is meant to open inward, for there are hinges on this side and large grip to pull on. Any attempt to open the door will meet with failure until the blockage is removed. Probing the slit will reveal its depth to be about 18 to 24 inches and its consistency as tenuous as quicksand. The slit can be scooped up off the stairwell, but it's semi-liquid and will quickly flow back. If water is forced in quantity through the stilt, it will wash the slit under the door jab and down the hall beyond, elevating the blockage. The northern approach. If the characters come upon the doorway from the north, read. The thin, muddy stream that trickles through the hallway here flows out from underneath the door that lies ahead. Oh, I see where this is going. The door can be forced to open only a few inches, enough to see that it's blocked, and the other side is filled with a mass of silt. Number 5. That is if you go up to the east. Where do I go? There. The walls of this corridor are wet and slimy. The stucco covered has become saturated with water and is decomposing, slugging off in spots on the southern wall, exposing the seams of one of large stone blocks from which the structure was built. The tightly fitted stone seals off a tomb. The block is made from limestone, and the entire face of the block is covered with wet caustic lime. This is the info, of course. Wet lime. Any flesh that comes in contact with the lime will take 1 acid damage per round. The lime must be removed from the skin to stop the damage, and it can either be wiped off or washed away. If cloth or soft leather is used to protect flesh from contact with the wet lime, the lime will soak through it in 2 rounds. Non-magical leather armor won't absorb the lime, but each hour of contact with it reduces the armor's AC by 1, making the armor useless if its AC becomes 10. The lime can't be removed from the stone since it isn't a coating. Moving the block. After the stucco is scraped away from the seams, the block can be pushed inward by the combined effort of up to 4 characters with a total strength of 48 or higher. The stone is about 6 feet tall, 3 foot wide, and 3 foot thick. It takes a minute to push the block 10 feet, after which it can be circumvented. DM here. I see they are trying to make this like really there's like acid on the wall, so watch out if you touch it with like cloth or so it does this. I would do the armor as the armor penalty as a DM only after it is very clear that it would melt through leather or clothing. Just throwing it out there. Especially since this will take like numerous hours. Not just in-game, but also all out of game. the more they fuck up early on, the harder the later combats will hit them, from what I see. So, it was kinda dangerous dungeon. 6. At the end of the hallway F5, there is a rubble-filled staircase. Read to your players. This staircase goes up for only a few steps, then it seems to be that the rest is filled with clay ores and stone rubble. Well, for the DM, any or one or more characters can try to dig the staircase out. Any digging, however, will result in further movement of the rubble, dealing 2 bludgeoning damage or 1d4 to each digger. Each digger must also succeed on the DC 13 dexterity save, or be buried by the rubble, taking another 7 or 3d4 bludgeoning damage. If the saving throw fails by 5 or more, the character becomes engulfed with the rubble and trapped and can't breathe until dug out. Struggling to get out needs a minute and DC 15 athletics check. The staircase is completely blocked and leads nowhere. Well, basically, this is one-to-one the same of the room 1. It is, hey there you tried to get out. Ha! Funny thing, you only get out when following this. This is the game reminding the players that they have to abide by its terms, which, yeah, I mean, if they have a healer in their team, that's not a problem. Like for now, it's not a problem yet, but later on, the healer just won't have any things. It's kind of this fuck around and find out scenario. But if they don't fuck around, they won't find like the next room or so. That is the one that was already described with the stone block. So that's some interesting development. I think it's supposed to be that the players like really think of their before their actions. Like the first time, okay, they take damage. The second time, you just have to describe as a DM. If they ask, this looks exactly like the other thing. Like, if you don't have to do damage necessarily here. It's what I would do is do it as a backup. I would make very clear that this is exactly like the one before. The more you dig, the more stuff comes out, and it may roll over you. And if they just don't listen, then okay, you can do that, but not the biggest fan of that. 7. The sepulchre of Antilochus Locas. Give me a moment. The sepulchre of Antilochus Popo Locas, Master of the Outsiders. Okay, that's the name. DM tip again here. Please read through all the names before you go and play this game. Once the stone entrance block in Area 5 is pushed out of the way, the characters have enough space to get past it. Read to them. Beyond the block is a small foyer holding 3 sealed urns on the east and west sides. To the south are double doors of bronze with glyphs worked into their faces. The ancient glyphs are ascribed in Alman. If anyone in the party can read this language, or if the message can be understood by other means, the glyph will translate as: "Here lies Antilochus Popoclocus, master of the others, who is like the wind and the night." Just saying, for the language barrier that there will be, since nobody will take this language unless they are unless you're playing this specifically as a one shot in the original setting. Go with some children stuff. You can do Ommune if you're playing Tomb of Annihilation. and have a character directly for it, you can take some other children language, just do something with it that's actually lets them be able to read it. Trapdoors. The doors are locked, DC 15 dexterity, check into pick with thief tools, and trapped. Opening the lock disables the trap. Forcing the doors open can be done with a successful DC 20 athletics check, but the act causes a glass sphere on the other side of the doors to break. The sphere is attached to the doors just above the lock. Opening the lock pushes the sphere aside, putting it out of harm's way. Someone who examines the door closely with a light source notices a glint of glass in the seam between the door with a successful DC 20 perception check. Even with the lock still in place, and the lever on which the sphere rests can be moved by someone who succeeds on DC 20 dexterity check using thief tools. A painstaking process in the narrow space takes 5 minutes, and if the check fails by 5 or more, the sphere breaks at the end of the attempt. Sleep gas. If the glass sphere breaks, it releases green swirling sleep gas throughout the area. Each time a creature ends its turn in this chamber, the creature must succeed on a DC 20 hours and DC 10 con save or become poisoned for 5,000 years. While poisoned this way, the creature is also unconscious, and it is affected by the passage, and it is unaffected by the passage of time or by other poisons. If magic is used to cure the poison condition, the recipient is immune to the poison for an hour. If casting a dispel magic, casting of dispel magic using a spell slot of 7th or higher. God. The 5-level characters don't have that. Please have mercy. Also ends the effect. The vapor lingers for a month unless they are cleared away by a strong wind. So gust of wind, okay, you can at least do that as a player. So God. This is bullshit. Treasure. The seal to the urns is made of beeswax and may be broken so that the lids can be removed. Each of the 6 urns contains an equivalent of 20 flasks of oil. An filled urn weighs 25 pounds. To the players. Behind the door is a chamber cut out of rock with a veil of clatite and stalactites covering the walls. But trees rise from the corners, brown shot through with black and triangular stone patterns, support the high ceiling. Occupying the center of the chamber is a colossal monument resembling a giant's table, covered on all sides with intricate carvings and glyphs. Encaved on the floor in front of the entrance is a seal that displays more glyphs. Opposite the entrance, a battle axe is embedded in the wall. 6 feet is above the floor. The glyphs in the floor seals are written in the same language again and translate to defilers, now you shall join me in my eternal resting. The monument is constructed from several parts. A great stone slab, 20 feet long and 10 feet wide, rests upon a 4 feet thick monolith of rock and similar dimensions. And this in turn is supported by 6 huge blocks of dolomite. Every component has been covered with intricate carvings and glyphs. The top of the slab depicts a struggle between a dark-skinned man and a mighty knotted serpent. Engraved alongside this illustration are glyphs identical to those found on the door. Under these sigils are etched a series of 4 face glyphs in a line. At the foot of the slab is a row of 11 of these symbols, all in different forms. The curved block is the resting place of Tlokles Lokas, a servant of the shadow-loving Satosihila. The glyphs on top of the slab give his name and date he died. 5439 written in face glyphs. One glyph is a glyph of warding, DC is 17, that casts Bestow Curse on anyone in the tomb if the crypt is opened by those who do not serve the god Silahahi. What the fuck? The curse lasts until spelled, and for the 10 days after this tomb has been broken into, every cursed violator receives a visit from either Tlokes or some other agent of Silihaha. What the fuck? This name's seeking retribution. The 11 face glyphs on the foot of the block correspond to the numbers 0 to 10. And the tomb is opened by pressing the glyphs that correspond to the numbers of the date carved on top. When the 9th glyph is pressed, granting sound issues forth and the top slab slides back a bit. The tomb lid can be opened the rest of the way by a combined strength of 1 or 2 characters with a total strength of 20 or higher. The block for players. The block beneath the slab is hollow, and inside is a crumbling skeleton decked out in decayed finery. It appears to have been a man of taller than average stature, obviously of great importance. Gems and other small adornments of obvious value lie around the body. Covering the skull is a mask of jade with a crow eye shell eyes and obsidian pupils. Around the corpse's neck is a jade pendant carved with the face of a human-like pet creature. The corpse is the body of a Tlokles Popolokas, a vampire spawn with special abilities, see below. If the creature examines the contents of the tube, see treasure for details. Any of the items can be lifted out off or out on the characters if they so desire. If the mask and the pendant are both removed, Tlokles starts to awaken. Dust is stirred up into clouds and begins to gather on the bones as they knit back together. His waist form then slits up and gazes about. This part of the regenerative process takes 2 rounds, during which time the corpse has an AC 12 of 27 hit points. If they haven't been removed, the corpse benefits from braces of defense and ring of protection, which see treasure again. If either the mask or the pendant is forced back upon him before the 2 rounds elapse, he returns to death. If not, then he sits for 2 more rounds, while his flesh knits and swells with the apparent vigor of the living. He gains 27 hit points in the first round and 28 in the second round, and he has his normal AC of 17, but remains prone. He can use multi-attack and to make 2 claws attacks in either of these rounds, but being prone he does so with disadvantage. Within this period, if both mask and pendant are forced back on him, he can resist returning to death with a successful DC 10 Wisdom save. When he is whole again, he attacks. Tlokles, having gained his power from his allegiance to Sotsilihaha, isn't a typical vampire and doesn't bite. He has a shape-changer trait of a true vampire, except when he can't change into mist. Tlokles also has the Children of the Night action of a true vampire, but he calls only bats. He can initially cast a hold person spell at will, requiring no components, but his targets must be able to see him. When he has a chance to do so, Tlokes pulls his axe from the wall and then uses it for each of his 2 attacks per round. He is a blood drinker and attempts to subdue opponents, if not vastly outnumbered, so as to assure himself a constant supply of blood. To drink blood, Tlokes must first drain it into a bowl and then drink it, which can reduce the target's hit point maximum as a normal vampire spawn bite does. Tlokes will not pursue fleeing grave robbers from his tomb immediately, but instead will seek to regain his bearings in the world of the living for several days. He can track down cursed thieves later, or invoke the power of Sotoso Lohia to locate any treasure stolen from his place. In the intervening time, he might regain some of his former power. Battle Axe. The Battle Axe has a plate of bronze, and the haft is wound with snakeskin wrappings. The weapon detects as magical. It casts an ominous shadow in the shape of what appears to be a withered arm. Our picture is here. And those who approach within reach of it feel a cold chill run up and down their spine, and anyone who tries to pull the axe from the wall finds it impossible to do so. The weapon is a berserker axe and has a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls instead of the normal +1. The axe can't be picked up by another as long as its current owner, Tlokes, remains alive. Concealed beneath the wrappings around the handle is a parchment containing the spells Papa's Wall, Burning Hands, and Gust of Wind. When the attuned wielder uses an action to say the correct words of power, which are engraved in the omen on the axe's blade, one of the spells is cast. The axe has 12 charges and regains 1d6 +4 expanded charges in daily at dawn. Casting a spell from it takes a number of charges equal to the spell level. If the spell save DC is 15, if the parchment is removed from the axe, and the axe loses this capability of casting spells forever. Treasure. The mask has an approximate value of 200 gold pieces, and the pendant is worth 50 gold pieces. Describe the other components in the tomb if the characters examine the potions closely. Beneath the masks are fragments of bone, as through the jar the skull has been crushed. Within the fragments of the jar is a spherical white onyx, 15 gold pieces. Strands of hair remain on the skull, gathered into black obsidian, and red pipestone tubes, 50 gold pieces a bunch. Above the mask, on the corpse's forehead, is a diadem of black opals and jade discs, worth 200 gold pieces. On to either side of the masks are jade earplugs carved into several pieces to resemble budding flowers. The pair are worth 30 gold pieces. Draped over the ribcage is the breast plate made of loops of tubular jade intercept with bone dividers. Protects like studded leather, worth 200 gold pieces. Scattered around the neck and through the ribcage of the corpse are 156 jade beads, each worth a gold piece, shaped like spheres, cylinders, trilobes, beads, floral buds, open flowers, pumpkins, mallows, and the snake's head. Melons. Above the wrist are white bead bracelets, bracers of defense. That is interesting. On the middle finger of each hand are carved jade rings. Okay, moment. I have to adjust the music back again. There we go. Where were we? There. Alright. Middle finger. Jade rings. One in form of a man holding the moon. A ring of fire resistance. And the other a panther ready to strike. A ring of animal friendship. No, animal influence, sorry. Pressed into the fingers of each hand is a large bead, a jade cube under 50 gold pieces in the right hand, and a spherical gate, 50 gold pieces in the left hand. At the feet of the skeleton lie two small containers, apparently of glazed clay, one fitted with flower-shaped plugs in both ends, if it contains the dried remains of a potion of invisibility, and the other holding a 1-inch diameter piece of a mother of pearl. I guess just a pearl, a big pearl. Lying among the hip bones is a 6-inch long statue of a faceless man with large pointed ears. Plugged at the bottom is a bottle that contains an elixir of health. Okay, how do I say it? This is a lot. Like a lot. Like a lot. Quite interesting is that I currently cannot see if I'm actually streaming. Give me a moment. That's weird. I thought I would be streaming here. Maybe I'm not. Would be quite odd. Give me a moment. What the fuck? Okay, and it appears the stream is maybe still going on. I'm gonna quickly go ahead and open another tab. I wanna see if the stream is actually there. Yes, it is. Okay. Could be worse. Alright, where were we? Back into the fray. So, what I gather is that this, with all this loot... Give me a moment again, for fuck's sake. Yeah, where were we? Alright, generally what I see is there is like a lot of stuff in there. Not gonna argue with that. That being said, if the characters... Like, this is really deadly. Okay, you get into the... like, imagine, you get past the bloody annoying step that melts your armor. and then you get into the room beforehand, where there are these 6 urns. Okay, you can just go and leave, or there is this big no door, which is big door. We want to open that. If the characters do not notice the glass, they are fucked. Not in the sense that they die necessarily, but if most of them just fall asleep and like imagine one of them not falling asleep, like the fighter or something, because of a nice con save or so, the rest just fuck up. There is absolutely nothing the fighter can do but stay with them and like try to wake up, and then when you as a DM come to them and say, hey, you gotta do the rest of the dungeon yourself now, because it takes 5,000 years for them to wake up. They are all gonna be like, what the fuck is this? Because, like, come on, the fighter, let's say you are only like 1 or maybe 2 people and you cannot wake the others up. They're completely unconscious, you cannot wake them up in their state. You now have to go through the entire dungeon. Just try to escape. And I haven't written through the rest of the dungeon yet, but there is a high chance that you will die. That everyone will die. And even worse, if all of them fucking fail, just imagine all of them failing, they are in a completely different time. They're 5,000 years in the future. Like, the Sword Coast might not even exist at that point anymore. If Denda does some weird stuff. Like, Jesus Christ. This is a hideous trap. Wow. I mean, arguably behind that you can like take this for free or so, but you are automatically cursed the second you open the sarcophagi, which is something. And unless I've written that or like read that wrong, but I understand that you're automatically cursed the second you open this bloody thing. Unless you get like maybe the riddle done? I don't know, from what I see it was like everyone opens it. Yeah, everyone. And it's like, okay, cool. You awoken. You almost awoke the vampire. Okay, could be worse. There's like a big skeleton in there. Nobody would reckon this to be that guy. Is it that guy? I don't know. I would imagine it to be that guy. Like a vampire with a cup and stuff. Not necessarily the whip, but other shit. So, what can you even do? Okay, you take the mask from the guy away, and he's just gonna track you down. You're a 5th level party. There is a 5th level with magic items. There is a vampire spawn that might be CR8 or something. If you do not take the stuff away enough, and if you take the wrong things away, you're just punished for it. I mean, something that is nice about the vampire encounter is you can absolutely put the stuff back. If you put it back, you can avoid consequences. If you put it back fast enough, that is. If not, you can kind of resist, and he will, not gonna lie, it's a vampire spawn, he will just break through the barrier to go back asleep. And then you're just fucked. Because, like, imagine you take, like, some of the stuff away. And some of the stuff requires attunement, you cannot put him on directly. And if he gets his hands on the axe, there is a TPK. This is such a dangerous dungeon, and we're not even a quarter through yet. We're maybe like a 5th through. Okay. That was something. And just me roasting this dungeon. I would do it probably one that is similarly as deadly. I wouldn't give the guys money and magic items. But if the players... that's the one chance for the players to get a lot of good stuff. But they can't get out. Maybe through pass wall they could do some bullshit, but I don't think they can get out. Alright. 8. Let's say you come from there and you ask again, yeah, and go downstairs, man. Come on, it's gonna be fun. I think the players will be pissed at this dungeon. Really early on. I mean, if they don't trust the giant hermit crab, then they're just gonna go downstairs, I guess. This also works. But like, they cannot even escape at this point. There is no way to escape. It's still what fucks me up is the 5,000 years of slumber. This is gonna be so hilarious. Although you would become immune to the poison, so just saying it there, you're not gonna die within this 5,000 years. You would become part of the dungeon environment. So, man, this is almost sad. Holy shit. Wow. Okay, we continue. We continue into the weird other wall. Into the weird other room. The room is wet. Curse of the gods. The room is wet. And the walls are covered with a slimy white buildup. There is about 1.5 inches of water and mud blanketing the floor. Many overturned pedestals and pieces of broken statuary lie on the floor, partially buried or covered in the mud. Opposite the entrance to this room is another door. Only one pedestal remains standing in the northwest corner. On it sits a small metallic three-sided pyramid. Overhead, in the shadow-draped ceiling, are inlaid colored tiles depicting a starry sky and forming strange patterns in the area above the pedestals. The import. A dark wet mass clings to the wall above the western door. Upon closer inspection, it appears to be green in color. Okay. The mass is a large colony of algae, though it resembles green slime, and successful DC 15 intelligence/nature check enables the character to tell the difference. Fire will have little effect on it, because the algae is oozing wet and fire does burn it with much vigor in the presence of poisonous gas that fills the room. Attempt to dislodge the slime will result in slippery sections of it dropping on the characters. A caustic slime. The walls of the room are heavily causted in caustic slime. It's the same as before, just that it doesn't burn through your clothing. Treasure. Small pyramid is made of silver, worth 5 gold pieces. It represents the god of the moon and lightning. Takel. The fallen sanctuary was made of stucco and depicted other Almond gods. Those include a coyote, a crab-headed figure, an alligator-headed god, a feathered warrior, and a jaguar. Next room, that's the one behind. There is a stone statue in a hallway. The walls and ceiling of this hallway are coated with slime, and the floor of the passage is covered with a layer of mud. Though this muck is a steady stream of water and trickles northward. The stucco on the walls is flecking off, and there is glowing silver tracks in the slime crisscrossing the wall and ceiling. Along the east wall of the passage stands a 12-foot tall stone statue of a man outfitted in fine clothing and holding a stone tray in his arms. Its eyes appear to be black gemstones. The right one droops out of its socket, balancing on the statue's cheek. From behind the left shoulder protrudes is the hilt of a weapon, most likely a sword. The stone tray, as well as the forehead and nose of the stone, are chipped and scratched. The end part. The easiest way to reach the sword or the gems is to climb up on the statue and stand on the tray. A character who succeeds on a DC 25 intelligence investigation check realizes the statue is a top-heavy, proficient with masonry tools and a dwarf's stone cunning trait applied to this check as well. If a weight of more than 100 pounds is applied on the tray, or someone pushes on the tray anywhere above the tray and succeeds on a DC 10 strength check, the statue overbalances and tumbles into the hall. Anyone on the statue or under it must succeed a DC 15 dex save or take 7 2d6 bludgeoning damage from the falling statue. Behind the toppled statue is a narrow pathway 4 feet above on the floor. The treasure. The eyes of the statue are pieces of polished obsidian with 10 gold pieces each. The sword is a +1 longsword in a fine condition, made with laminated wood, inset with jagged teeth and obsidian. It deals an extra 2d6 damage to any creature of the planet type. The sword comes free easily if the characters pull it up and out. Okay, secret passage that is behind that. Water beads collect upon the walls of this narrow passage, and the flooring is cold and damp. A low ceiling, only 5 foot tall, further cramps the stank place. The northern entrance to this, the import again, passage is a block of stone mounted on the central pivot, which has been seen wedged partially open by accumulated debris. The location of the southern entrance appears to be a blank wall. When initially viewed from within the passage, the portal can be opened from inside the passage by releasing a concealed catch at the intersection of the wall and the ceiling. Finding this catch requires a successful DC 15 perception check. If you do not find a secret passage because you're not greedy as fuck, which obviously, come on, most of the players are gonna find it, not gonna lie. Although I can imagine a wizard being like, ooh, I'ma just mage hand my way out of there. So if they're not greedy bastards, they're gonna go they're gonna go through the next section, that is 11 and 12 until 12B, where they will find their way again and continue into room 13. But before we do that, I will take a quick break. Alright. Water bottle secured. Let's continue. Where were we? Yeah. If you players are not greedy as fuck, which, come on, they're gonna be. They are apparently finding the way around, or they could backtrack and find it. So, would still have that one prepared, even though I as the would question it. Room 11. The court of Tamoachan, place surrounded by water. Describe the features of this room as the characters become able to see them or examine them. The text assumes the characters are approaching from the south. Well, sure. They could backtrack around, so nice to know. The doors to this room are made of bronze and are tinted with blue from oxidization. Just inside the doorway are two small alcoves. Each space contains an old fountain, cracked and crusted with lime. Around the fountain in the eastern alcove, a heap of rubbish litters the floor. The fountain in the western alcove still holds some green scummy water, in which something moves. A short hall ending in descending steps leads to the central chamber, which is flooded. A dark, foul pool covers the entire floor. The central hall, flanked by narrow aisles, is defined by two rows of massive square columns. The walls are coated with slime, and are glowing silver lines etched across them. From what you can see, the chamber walls, stones appears to be crudely worked. Two colored bronze braziers stand in the pool. Towards the middle of the room, two broken urns, each apparently once about 4 foot tall, poke out of the water. In the darkness of the eastern wall appears to be an enormous growth of an oval greenish hue that gives off the same silvery gleam as the slime trails. It is very apparent there is a monster in there. Probably a snail. We'll have a look at the place after the full description. The water in the central area is about 2 foot deep, and the floor is very slippery. Not that the characters have to know the 2 foot deep thing. Moving across this difficult terrain costs 3 feet of speed for every foot traveled. Whoa, this is extra difficult terrain. Any sudden actions, including those necessarily for combat, might result in the character taking a spill. A character who takes a dash action or tries to fight while in the room must succeed a DC 10 dexterity save or falls prone. The moat. The 10-foot wide section of the floor that runs along the east-west-north sides is 10 feet lower than the rest of the room, creating a 12-foot deep moat. Characters who don't probe ahead will be unable to detect this drop-off until it's too late. Lime. The walls are heavily coated with lime, which also pollutes the water. Sure that's not slime? Because from what I see, there's a lot of lime and a lot of slime in there. Maybe my English isn't good enough, but could there be actually a mistake in there? The soaked portions of the character's clothing begin to rot away if they are more than 30 minutes in there. Creature. The phosphorescent glow of the eastern wall is actually a giant slug named named the Lord of Snails. Also, and Teiko Zeste Cot Ale. Who is highly intelligent and quite a boaster. In ancient lore, it's considered to be related to the moon. No wonder they stand next to each other in the room. Effect of which is quite broad. During a combat, the slug will detail what it has in store for the characters and how hopeless the situation is. If it begins to lose the combat, the slug will either surrender and after bargaining agree to help the party, or else it will flee and conceal itself in the moat. If the characters allow themselves to be helped, the slug will precede them to the northern side of the moat and stretch its body across the gap, making it appear to be solid ground. Those who step on the slug without taking precautions will plunge into the moat. The slug will lead the party towards the tomb of Tamoachan and instruct him to open the door. Once the door is open, the slug will flee from the party and hide at the bottom of the moat, so it is a coward. Eastern Alcove. The Eastern Fountain has a small amount of concentrated lime solution near the bottom, dealing damage in lime as area 5. It looks like cloudy water. A small amulet lies beneath the caked slime. The amulet, worth 65 gold pieces, is made of brass and what the fuck, and something else, encarved with the words "a lot of snails." It's possible to use this amulet as a bargaining tool with the giant slug, which will accept it in return for allowing the character's passage to the tomb of Tamoachan. In the southeast corner of the eastern alcove is a swarm of rats in the rubbish. The swarm is made of deceased giant rats. What's up with this weird tomb? Western alcove. The western fountain is filled with algae, and some bullfrogs are raising a brood of tadpoles in the water. So there is some life. Yeah, let's go ahead and have a quick look at the next place. So those two places, there are the frogs and stuff, and with the tadpoles, there is the algae stuff. There is somewhere the snail. They are coming from this side. There are the things. There is the moat, at which the slug will hide, and the characters will fucking descend in the moat and be soaked in it and have their armor disintegrated. This is, yeah, okay, sure. I will continue to 12A. I think this is actually okay. I'm not gonna lie. I think that nobody is gonna, no character that I knew other than like a were crocodile or were a player that is like a fish person or something will want to stay in this water, especially since they know there is likely a monster in there. Tomb of Tamoachan. I will read from the north. Oh yeah, this is us. Is this 12A? No, we start with 12A. The passage is slime covered and with a stream of water trickles away from the floor. And there is condensation on the walls, door and ceiling, some of which dips down on you. A quiet sound of dripping and splashing echoes in the corridor. This door is tightly sealed and appears to be warped outward or wedged shut. The door hinges are mounted on its side. The door can be opened with a successful DC 20 athletics or strength check to pull it open. The difficulty is due to the fact that the room behind the door is entirely filled with water. Well, that's interesting, which has bowed the door and jammed it shut. Those who listen at the door will hear slightly splashing or gurgling, if they hear anything at all. Oh, Opening the door will release a wave of water. Those hit by the water take 2 bludgeoning damage, or 1d4, and must succeed DC 15 strength save, or be knocked down and washed along the passage to the north, then westward. A creature that succeeds on the DC 15 strength / athletics check while moving around the corner can grab onto the stonework there and is halted movement. When the flood washes into area 11, the water bursts open the doors there, if they're not already open, which we expect them to be, and anyone in the door is dumped into the moat. A character who is washed down into the hall must succeed and keep a hold in hand. Heavy objects into the floor as lighter washed into the moat. Yeah. Tomb. Never Rakan. Okay, shit. Tomb, south entrance. If the characters traverse the corridor from east to west, describe it this way. The hall is sown with mud and floatism. Water accumulates in the center of the corridor and flows westward to where a stone block and the southern wall has shifted out of place. The corridor turns north and the flow of water follows it, then goes under the door of a bronze-bound wood. Door has a handle and keyhole. Opening a door will reveal stairs. But only 3 feet of water. A faint melodious sound comes from ahead. It is difficult to tell whenever someone is singing or the echoing of water dripping. If the characters burst into the room, they immediately hear the surprised squeal and splash. The room is lit with a soft light that reveals the section of rocky beach. Beyond the beach is a pool of glowing... Are we at 14? Am I... What? This is 13 already. There is nothing in the Tomb of Tamoachan. What? I thought there would be something in the tomb. Or is it this just a trap? To wash them around? That's it? What the fuck? This is just you open the water. There's not even damage. Okay, there's like 4 damage in there. Otherwise it's like... What the fuck is this? This is just a trap for water. Likely so that the slug cannot escape. Man, this dungeon is tiring out. Okay, 13. The beach. Let's go to the beach. Let's have some fun at the beach. I hope this is gonna be a nicer place, since the adventure hasn't really been kind to the adventurers yet. The room is lit by a soft light that reveals a section of rocky beach. Beyond the beach is a pool of glowing water, filling half the room and framed by a crystal cavern. Green fawns can be seen in the pool. Light seems to flow from everywhere, the pool and walls, glistening like soft moonlight. On the far side of the pool is a set of doors, engraved with a sun symbol. If the characters approach quietly, they might glimpse the singer. Sitting on the beach in front of a crystalline pool is a woman, young and slim, with long golden hair and pale white skin. She radiates a soft silvery light, even through her skull, white as the froth waves. She is singing a strange melody in an unrecognizable language. After finishing her song, she enters the water in a long, arcing dive. Waters cover more than half the cavern. The floor drops off sharply, creating a pool that is 12 feet deep. A ledge runs from the southern wall to a set of doors that leads east. We already know where those doors are. Above the ledge, the water is only 2 feet deep, but the area counts as difficult terrain. The door that leads to the east have keyholes in them, but are unsecured. Creatures. The young woman is in a reed named Dazazos. Whenever startled or not, eventually the narrate's surface with a silvery laugh is heard. This creature is an agent of Sot-Silachaha. Unlike most other narrates, she is chaotic evil in alignment and speaks Alman instead of common. She possesses an insidious and clever mind concealed beneath her alien beauty and seeming naivety. She retreats from close combat and conceals herself in water. The narrate also has a pet named Shock, a giant lightning eel that goes bzzzt in the water. If she calls Chuck for aid, she does so on her turn when she uses Water Lash. The waters begin to heave and boil on the watery form of a human with an elephantine head, wearing an elaborate headdress and holding a trident rises up. The eel comes near the surface and strikes when the watery god levels its tridents at the character. Treasure. If seriously threatened, an array might reveal the location of a treasure. At the deepest part of the pool is a grotto hidden behind the bed of kelp. This is cave are 6 golden statues, 550 gold pieces each worth, and a golden mask, 250 worth. Also lying in the cache are 2 crystal scrolls, 25 gold pieces apiece. Through water has destroyed the scroll cases. Through water has destroyed the scrolls in them. A silver idol of 15 gold pieces, which is actually a bottle of holding a potion of clairvoyance and a pair of gloves of missile snaring. Flooded hall. Half the L-shaped corridor is flooded. The water is 3 feet deep and cold, and the bottom is very slippery. Moving across this difficult terrain costs 3 feet of speed for every 1 foot traveled. Nothing new. Any sudden actions? It's the same as everywhere else. You fall and prone if you do stupid stuff. The water becomes shallower to the east after the corridor turns north. A set of stairs rises above the darkness and the path ends in a set of bronze doors. The doors have keyholes but are unlocked. What is the narrator doing here? Okay. It's a reverse dungeon. All we need to do is survive. They will not survive the giant lightning eel. This dungeon. I haven't even gotten through half of it. Like, we've made our way. Starting here, we got like, oh yeah, here, puzzle, weird, okay. Dungeon doesn't like you. Okay, here. Yeah, you probably want to the trap. If you are nice enough, you just go boop. You fucking die here the first time. You go just past it to the door. Steel statues entirely avoid the slug with the annoying water trap. Head over to the to the beach, the nicest place you've encountered yet, with the most hideous woman in there. And then you're like, yeah, sure. So fuck do I know? I guess we're gonna go for a dive. Because like if you open it, you cannot open the door. You will know that the door is connected by the slime if you investigated that prior. This isn't even half of the dungeon. What the fuck are you supposed to do, man? Like there is the half side. You're still in lower parts. So you're like, boop. Okay, now we're at 15. From there we head into. From there we head through the secret door, because otherwise, if they do not, let's go be honest, if they do not find the secret door in 15, as we're about to read the description, the players are just stuck in there. They're gonna die down there if not by time itself, or by the rations running out, by the poison they get every time. They cannot even do a rest in there, because the poison will just cancel any rests they want. Let's hope they can actually go through the secret passage in 15. The Great Hall. This hallway is 20 foot wide and has piles of rubbles and debris scattered along its length. The walls are covered with frescoes. The southern wall displays scenes of a battle between natives and invaders. The north wall depicts people questing for a new land. Their experiences through the journey include crossing a treacherous mountain, sailing over storm-tossed seas, and receiving the guidance of the gods in their battles to keep their homeland free from invasions. In the center of the wall is a painting of a pyramid with a temple atop it, and the sun shining over the land. Double bronze doors stand in the eastern end of the south wall. Down the hall to the west is an archway, carved in the form of twinning serpents. Beyond it, the corridor continues on to shadow. The hallway extends only 5 feet beyond the arch. The western wall is cleverly painted mural designed to give the illusion of depth and reality, and the obscuring effect of poisonous gas contributes to this impression. If characters attempt to go this direction, they walk straight into the wall unless someone succeeds a DC 15 wisdom perception check. The space beyond the arch, immediately in front of the mural, is where creatures arrive after being teleported from the south end of area 32. Oh no, it's gonna be one of those things. To either side of the arch is a 5 foot deep niche. A character who steps into either niche triggers a pressure plate at the beginning of the adventure that's already laid out, that releases a set of horizontal bars, closing off the archway and trapping the interloper. Oh no. A character can immediately take 10 minutes to remove the plate from the floor, requiring the same check as attempt to block it. A failed check in this case means another 10 minutes of work is required, followed by another check. So you're just gonna kill him slowly and painfully by the poison. Sun painting. Something we can walk around. A painting of the pyramid and the sun conceals a secret door. A character who makes a successful DC 15, thank god it's not a 20 perception check, discovers that a portion of the work that depicts the sun is separate from the rest and can be pressed. Pushing it inwards reveals and opens the secret door in the wall, the floor of the passage that leads 8 foot north above the floor of the Grand Hall. Asserting the secret exit causes any bars over the niche to retract into the walls and the pressure plates to reset. This place is fine. 15 is completely fine. It's a big wall. What I would like handouts would be cool in this regard. If you go directly, if you are creative enough as a DM, and you manage to make like a drawing of it or something, and they touch the big ass sun, you just open it. Otherwise, you will definitely say like 5 times what is there. Let's continue. Secret door. Description assumes an approach from the north. The south side is described already. The wall at the end of the corridor has a bas-relief sculpture of an warrior armed with a spear and shield. The shield, which rests on the floor, resembles a sundial, complete with a marker standing out from the wall. Etched onto the shield surface are runes in Alman script. The message on the shield reads, "Turn back." Instead of being part of a solid carving, the shield has a seam that characters can discover with a successful DC 15 perception check. Chips around the seam suggest that the shield can be pivoted. Experimentation thereafter reveals that the sundial marker is movable. When it's in its current position, leaning to the right, the secret door is closed. If the marker is pushed to the left, the shield pivots and the exit opens. The floor of the area beyond the door is 8 feet lower than the floor in the corridor. And this is where we will head back to the other thing and to look at the secret door. Okay, the secret door is only when you come from that direction. The sundial shouldn't be a problem. If the players are smart enough, they will kind of put some chalk or something, or like a torch, since they cannot burn it anyway, on the floor. Alright. 17. We carry on. We carry on. Hall of the Great Spirits. The corridor is high sealed and decorated with sculptures mounted on the walls. 2 corridors branch off the main hall, a narrow one in the east and another one in the west. The statuary that adorns the walls consists of 4 sculpted heads of animals, each one 6 feet above the floor and 2 to 3 feet in diameter. Opposite the passage that leads east is the stylized head of a coyote, and across from the hallway going west is the head of a grinning bear. Near the south end of the corridor, the head of a bison is mounted on the east wall. The north end of the area on the west wall is what appears to be a head of an eagle with its beak open. Something shines within the eagle's mouth. Something is a golden bracelet. Stepping trip. Disturbing the bracelet in any way will cause the beak to snitch shut immediately. Whenever something was inserted will be pinned and the hinge of the mechanism will jam. This works. The hinge can be loosened with oil, after which the beak opens easily, or the beak can be broken off, dealing bludgeoning damage to it. The character's arm is caught in the beak and stuck. The character takes 1/4 of the damage dealt to the beak, and the beak takes the remainder. Treasure. The gold circlet is a bracelet of rock magic. It was originally a ring, an earring, or some other piece of giant stone jewelry. Hallway of the Ancestors. Along both sides of the corridor, deep in shadows, humans' figures appear to be floating above the floor. As you approach, you see that these figures, seemingly suspended in the air, are actually withered corpses standing upright on a ledge 2 feet above the floor. This is fucking great. Creatures. Once the lead character in the party reaches the midway point of the east-western passage, 15 zombies animate and attack. These corpses don't register as undead to a casting of detect evil and good until after they animate. Disease. After combat with the zombies is finished, each character who took damage must succeed on a DC 11 con save or contract sewer plague. Unlike a normal disease, symptoms of this disease manifest infected after an hour rather than days. If you do not go with a designated healer into this place, you are so fucked. 19. Silver coffer. At the end of the corridor is a small alcove holding a 3 foot tall stone pedestal on which rests a small silver coffer. 15 feet in front of the alcove there is a small single step in the stone floor. Inside the alcove the floor is elevated an additional 2 feet. Hinged floor. The character examines the base of the 2 feet step along the edge of the raised floor and succeeds 15 wisdom perception check. Notices a metallic glint coming from a hinge that runs across the full width of the floor. The hinge can be dismantled by someone who uses thief tools and takes 5 minutes and does a successful DC 15 dexterity check. On a successful check, the trap is prevented from triggering. On a failed check, the character hasn't managed to dismantle the hinge but can try again. That's good. Shifting slab trap. If the hinge in the floor isn't dismantled, this trap is triggered if more weight is placed on the floor of the alcove than on the space immediately in front of the step up. The floor inside the alcove sinks 10 feet. At the same time, the 15-foot slab of floor north of the alcove, as shown on the map, rises up, pivoting along its south edge. The northern side of the slab now seals off the passage to the north, while the southern slopes down towards the alcove. Those who were on the slab when it's pivoted fall prone and roll to the bottom of the slope of the alcove floor, 13 feet below where the coffer sits on the pedestal. Each creature that falls in it takes 3 bludgeoning damage, or 1d6. When the slab finishes moving, it locks into place so the floor remains steeply sloped and the passage north remains blocked. The locking mechanism is hidden by the northern elevated edge on the floor and it's a very narrow space. The stone around it can be chipped away over several hours of tedious labor until the edge of the slab is no longer held in place. A knock spell also does that. The silver cover is unlocked, but it's latched, so the lid will not come open unless the characters touch the box, stopping at doors or pausing for a minute. The floating statue serves no purpose and is what? We're not there yet. Give me a moment. Treasure. Inside the coffer is a strange copper figurine, narrow with fins, looking somewhat fish-like. Written on the side of the figurine are strange runes. On the shimmer ends in a small arched square panel. The runes are a script similar to Elvish spell out the name Ilnidra. Deft fingers will be able to open the small panel, revealing a hollow inside, which the wall is lighted. Colored beads. Touching any of the beads will cause the panel to close. Well, that's good. A few seconds thereafter, the figurine will rise into the air and start flying about the alcove, hovering at times and avoiding being touched by characters or missiles. Once an exit is available, the figurine will fly from the party and move randomly through the ruins. For fuck's sake. Stopping at doors and pausing for a minute. This floating statue serves no purpose and is more or less a false lead. The silver coffer weighs 15 pounds and is worth 150 gold pieces due to its fine workmanship. The copper figurine is worth 50 pounds and works 50 gold pieces, 5 pounds. Oh. Lord have mercy. Oh well. I just wanna have a look at it again. The map. I'ma stick to this map for now. For obvious reasons. Okay. At the end there are the zombies that kill the party. Fine. Then there is this fucking trap. That is annoying. Okay, from there are two ways. Whew. Both are this chamber and this chamber. Right? Right. Might be useful to bring up this fucking thing. Okay, so we managed to go all the way into the Hall of Death, through the mud place, into the realm of disgust, into the most beautiful and yet annoyingly deadly place, past the super bloody annoying trap. What next? Next there is this hallway with a little riddle, but I'm sure a small place will figure that out quickly. Then we have the annoying crossword hallway with the zombies that immediately attack the second you do anything. The trap that that will annoy the fuck out of the players. And then we go into area 20. How many areas are there again? 50 areas! Lord have mercy, this stream is gonna be like 5 hours. I'm at 20. Ooh. So we carry on. Oh, at least that's gonna be easier to look at. Also, this looks like a very nice place to be at, definitely. Not a problem. Spirit Guard of Ayokwan. Massive bronze door opens into this great chamber. The place is filled with rubble and life-size statuary, much of it broken. Standing in the ranks is an army of clay statues. What must have been an impressive array. Now half of them are fallen and crumbled. Near the door are spear wielders, perhaps 20 of them, outfitted only in scraps of leather now. At their feet lay obsidian spearheads and bits of rotted wooden shafts. Behind these figurines are archers, in scattered formation. A few of them remain standing. The arrows are gone, but they hold laminated bows, dried and worm-eaten. Further into the room are figures of warriors with war clubs and hand axes, wearing scraps of lacquered leather, scandals and caps. Beyond all of this is the north end, the chamber, are a group of statues that must have been an honor guard. These warriors wear feathered robes and headdresses and are armed with pitted bronze spears. Each of these figurines wears a breastplate of shells. They are standing near a domed structure. The stuccoed dome has no apparent openings. On the east wall of the room are two carved stone columns, flanking the remains of covered sedan or litter with statues of attendants standing nearby. The stuccoed dome is in Karen. It is a weak construction and can be broken into in minutes, using any bludgeoning instruments. If the characters work in concert, time can be divided. Inside are 6 sets of worthless bones and 6 jade bead pectorals, worth 50 gold pieces each. In the dusty corner is a pendant made of silver and turquoise, which is an amulet of protection from turning. In the center of the floor of the carrion is bronze and kerosene lamp set into stucco, worth 50 gold pieces. Creature. I was expecting there to be something. Lifting the lamp will open a hidden door in the floor, releasing a white cord. Well, we already have the guy from the compartment that has been trapped. He wears an amulet of protection from turning. Cool, there are 2 of them. Covered sedan. Inside the curved portion of the litter are skeletal remains of a human. His arms and are shackled to an arm of the sedan. In his ribcage can be found 3 arrowheads. Mixed throughout the broken clay in the intermediate area are nearly 5,000 beads of coral and shell, worth 1 copper piece each. 28. Behind the columns along the east wall is a bronze door, barred shut, with a pitted copper bar that is so that it can't be opened from the outside. From inside this room, one has merely to remove the bar. Okay, so they do have to lift it to get the white. I mean, it's only CR3, it shouldn't be a problem. It's not a rave. That's good. We already have the TP, we already had a TPK earlier. Alright. 21. A stone block. If they get out, there was the stone block in like the area. A large block of stone obstructs the corridor ahead. It doesn't seem to have any part of the original construction, for its composition is more sandy than the stones that make up the walls of this ruin. Furthermore, a gap of several inches is visible along the sides of the block and between the stone and the ceiling. This block is placed by an ancient architect to prevent access into the lower chambers and to deter grave robbers. Hehe, that's a funny thing. We should have made the streets better. And to reach its current positions, the stone was slid south from a gentle sloping passage to the north. The passage has several rollers built into the floor in aid of moving the stone there. It needs a total of 45 strength or higher to move this block. Combined effort of 50 or higher. In either case, the stone can be moved with numerous feats equal to half the walking speed of the slowest individual. Okay, what happens if you follow the zombie way? And then you get to the chamber of Narseval. The archived ones. The chief ones, what the fuck. All the doors bordering this enlarged room are made of heavy bronze. Colorful glyphs are inscribed on the western wall. There are 2 sideboards against the walls to the east. In the middle of the chamber are 2 stone divans, each with a human figure stretched out on it. Between the divans is a low stone table holding a flask and 2 goblets, all made of crystal. In the bottom of the crystal flask is a quantity of silvery dust. The figures of the divans are male and female, each about middle-aged and perfectly preserved. They are very still, dust-covered and apparently dead. Their bodies are covered with dry snakeskin. A female wearer wears a silver bracelet and holds what looks to be an ivory wand. The male has an amulet of electrum resting on his chest, inset with a red stone of considerable size. The glyphs and omen read, "Beware, many-eyed god will bring down a fiery death." Poison dust. Mixing the silvery powder in the flask with any liquid will create a special potion. Ooh! A creature that drinks it, no! Must succeed a DC 20 con save or become poisoned for 5,000 years. They are unconscious, of course, in this time. This is the same shit as before. Jesus. Maybe they're not even... Oh, they're not dead. They are not dead. They're just sleeping for the next few thousand years. Oh, sure, fuck it, do I not? I don't know. Creatures, the 2 bodies are martial arts adepts and splendid animation. The male is named Sipak Tonal and the female is Oxomoko. They use the potion that the flask once contained to ferry their death. If either is disturbed, they both instantly awake and stand. Oxomoko says, first in Omen and then in an ancient dialect of Common, "You have broken our glorious sleep. For this you must atone." Oh, great. The 2 then assume fighting stances, and if either is threatened or harmed, they do attack. If the party negotiates, the 2 demand payment of 500 gold pieces or more, or 1 uncommon rare magic item. If they aren't paid, the monks attack. If the monks are questioned about the ruins, they know nothing to tell except that they can translate the message on the western wall. They will not leave their chambers. Their ivory wand is actually a folded fan with 50 gold pieces. Their platinum bracelet, 250, and the amulet of the other guy is like 100 gold pieces. Or 100. Light ahead. The bobbing light is a will-o-wisp. That sounds great. As you peer, want us to play out here. As you peer through the corridor, a faint flickering light becomes visible. The light begins to move through the hallway away from you, sputtering and wavering just at the edge of your perception. The bubbling light is will-o-wisp. Oh, no, really, no shit. It will attempt to lure the party into a trap and then consume life on a victim. And the creature will lead parties coming from the west toward the north or south corridor. Creatures approaching the... Okay, 23A. Now the interesting stuff. We come towards a 10 feet wide pit that stretches across the corridor. Beyond is a wedge-shaped stone block or pillar that blocks the passage. The light ahead of you that you have been following is nowhere to be seen, as so it somehow passed through the pillar. The pit is 10 foot deep and contains several human skeletons. The triangular pillar's apex point towards the pit. Scratches on the floor and ceiling, scribbling short arcs in either of it, are easy to see. Somehow who examines the pillar notices that it can pivot it to either the left or the right, which will open a passage 2 feet wide to kind of squeeze through. The hallway, if the characters move through the opening, they once again see the light of the will-o-wisp in the distance. If the characters approach from the north route, the hallway abruptly ends at the blank stone wall. Wait, how do you waken them up? Oh, if they are disturbedly awakened. Oh. If the wall is hammered on, it will sound solid. A character who examines the floor and ceiling finds the scratches and scribe an arc from one to another. Pushing on one side of the apartment, a dead end causes the triangular pillar to pivot as noted before. Okay. 24. The sandbox. Just for context, we find ourselves here. I will just reset the music for a bit. Alright. Back in place. Third tier. Second tier, third tier. Okay, we can kind of work around this. We almost have a third. Almost have a third. So. Sandbox. Main. The two thick lines on the map mark the boundaries of a trap. A character who examines the ceiling 20 feet overhead as the party passes under one of the marked areas and marks a successful DC 15 wisdom perception check, notices a narrow band of copper extending from what wall. There is a gap between the copper and the surrounding stone that suggests the metal might be part of a door or a porticos. The object can be prevented from coming down by wedging it in place, as if there was a pressure plate. There is a pressure plate as well, and the 10-foot square section of the floor marked on the map that we already saw. The beginning of the you need 3 to 4 humanoids to step on that. Falling trap. If the characters set off trap by activating the pressure plate on the floor, they hear a click, and then a crash as both porticos make a timber. The barriers are thick, so it's basically just gonna encage them. After 5 rounds, confinedly by the trap, hear the sound of stone slowly grating on stone. Small panels, dust thickens from the holes. The floor, the area becomes difficult terrain. So it's basically a trap, and it's gonna go ahead and be filled with sand. I do not think I have to read this out. Now I'll be quite neat on it. Nest of the warriors. If you do go left, which is the right way to go, a bitter stench assails the senses as you lay eyes on the room ahead. Inside, amid a pile of rubbish, oval and broken, ghostly lights move across the floor. Close observation reveals that light is emitted by giant fire beetles. There is no natural light for you people, for you players. There seem to be around a dozen of these creatures in the room, each about 3 feet in length. They don't appear to take notice of you. From within the largest pile of trash, where most of the beetles are clustered, something glints of something shiny. The shiny thing is a +1 dagger and a large turquoise, and a few large turquoises. 3. If you roll at the one with the dagger, it breaks. Man, players are gonna love this dungeon. What? No. There is a ramp that goes up. There are stairs with an Indiana Jones stolen roll trap and an arc of Tamoachan. Spacious vaulted hall with a moment. Where's that? Hall. Stairs, rolling stone. But stone down already. Oh, 29 is gonna be so fucking annoying. Rolling stone trap. Oh, there is a rolling stone trap. That's nice. The arc. There are several stone statues of baboon-like creatures. The area is further penetrated. It's discerned that there is a procedural hall. The beasts that lair there will not attack until the party sights it. The creature is gas spore. I've never heard of that creature. But sure. Tomb of now, do we continue on? This is my question. We're going on this for a long time now. We can are we at 29 already? Okay, before we do 29 and then with 30 we will stop. And just do like a part 2 sometime. The Tomb of Pilota. As you approach a bend in the passage, you see a series of faint line drawings on the walls, depicting people playing a game that uses a ball that has goals of either end on the field. At the place where the corridor ends in a capstone that seemingly covers a hole on the floor. Etched into the top of the slab are and dare not open this pit unless you're willing to meet the challenge of Pilota. In Oman, of course. 5 feet above the capstone in the softball is a hemispherical depression 1 foot in diameter. Lifting the capstone requires the application of leverage, of strength. The top bones is there is some treasure with bones in. If any treasure is removed from the pit, the curse will fall onto the bearer an hour later. Well, that's nice. The victim must succeed. Saving throw? I got fucked. A plague, jade, picks the men wearing paddling in their arms and hips. Oh, this is an actual game that they still kind of play, a very niche game that is found in Mexico. Pilota ball. The ball is made of rubber wound around the balsa core and is used in the game of Pilota. It is the same size and depression in the wall, which is one of the goals on the playing field. The ball is cool to the touch if picked up. It suddenly jerks free on the holder's grasp and rebounds to the soft wall, then speeds 30 foot to the north and hovers. It animates for the purpose of challenging the violators of the tomb to a game. The ball can fly up to 30 feet on its turn and it can hover. It makes melee weapons attacks with +5 to hit, does 1 damage on hit. The ball has an AC and hit points. It is immune to all damage except magical that deal fire, acid, piercing force or slashing. The ball is immune to most conditions but it can be grappled or restrained by effects that work on objects. Start of the game. Roll initiative. The ball uses its initial action to bounce off the wall and strike at characters trying to get them to strike back. When a character attack the ball, it bounces off the south wall and the depression into the ball briefly glows orange. After the second such occurrence, the ball will break off its attacks. The sound, like of trumpets, indicates that the game is about to start. The goal is above the pit and another goal is on the other side. They're lined away. With the characters hit the ball, it flies to the south and the southern goal flashes briefly. When the ball moves, it flies to the north. How to win? Okay, they basically just want to punch the ball into the place where they need to go, and the ball just tries to go to the other side. If the ball wins, gets there, the ball wins, and the characters fucking die. If they don't, well, something they win. The characters win the game by propelling the ball into the goal above the pit, while preventing the ball from reaching the other end. If all the characters fail to hit the ball for one round, the faint drum sound of a drum jingle will be heard. A character who attacks the ball successfully sends it flying up to 15 feet. To knock the ball into the southern goal, the ball must be within 15 feet of the goal. A character must declare that the character is trying to score. If the character's attack roll exceeds the ball's AC by 4 or more, the ball goes into the goal. If the ball moves up within 5 feet of the northern wall, it can bounce itself into its own goal. To do so, the ball must make a successful attack roll against 15. Once the ball is knocked into the egg goal, it sticks there for one round, impossible to remove without destroying it. If the ball enters the goal to the north, a number of magic missile erupts from the goal equal to the number of conscious characters in the corridor. Each does this. When the ball moves out of the goal, it flies to the center. The game continues until the characters die or score a goal that puts them 2 points ahead of the ball. Okay, so you need to hit it 2 times into that bloody thing, or they just take damage. Okay, this is a okay mechanic. This sounds like fun actually. If the characters win, and the ball becomes inert, the sound of triumph drums erupts briefly and the area goes silent. The southern goal glows dark, but the northern goal glows orange. Investigation reveals that there is a small panel on the near the door. There is some treasure in there and kind of opens the gate to place 30. Those are a few. We will continue after maybe day-long break or so. My throat already starts hurting like crazy, so if you are willing to sit and have to sit back here, and we view each other later with a little bit of some D&D magic of the Aztec Empire sprinkled into the mix, you are welcome to do so, and we shall meet each other in the next live stream or the next recording. Probably next recording, since I still don't know if this is private or, well, not. So thank you very much for watching, and we will continue with part 2, which will probably take another 2.5 hours.